Okay guys, so now let's start with the second part. So previously we had gathered the requirements, created the environment, have added unit tests, and then we ran the Python and we created and ran this as a Docker. So now we're gonna create a server and using Flask Restful, and we're gonna create a Docker image for the same. So now let's get started. For this particular thing you need VS Code, you need to have Docker installed, and obviously you need to have Python environments for the same. So let's start the VS Code here. Okay, so I'm running the VS Code and I'm running it as at a high contrast mode. So let me actually open the folder. So before that, okay, so pwd cd dot and let's go to Python snippets. And do git pull to pull the last changes that we did. Now let's go to the folder programming, let's go to Python snippets, and then let's do climb grade. Open. This is kind of strange. So let's open terminal because I thought I had put this in a separate folder, but nonetheless let's do it right now. Let's create a folder called apps. Okay, then move the climb grade to apps. Now cd to apps ls. Okay, this is there. I'm not sure what happened previously, so but anyway, so do we have the code here? Yep, we do have the code. Maximize the screen. Okay, so now let's create another file. Let's say docker file. So let's add that piece of code that we so docker run -it -v pwd/home /apps working directory is home/apps and port we don't require, so we need Python 3.11 -slim, and then we can say Python and climb grade .py. This is the command. But anyway, so let's get started with creating the server. So touch and let's say server.py. Okay, the server got created. Open the server. So we require Flask. From Flask import Flask request as in small request qust request, yeah, this one, from Flask _restful import API resource. Okay, now app is equal to Flask of _name. Okay, so now what we do is we create API is equal to API of app, and then we have to do from Flask _cors import cors calls. Now this is done, so let's cors of app. Now this is done. Okay, so now app. We don't require app because we are using RESTful class. Let's say climb. I'm just going to say climb and resource definition of post self comma, that's it. We don't even know nothing else. Okay, so let's say request, let's put a print statement request. So we're gonna start with a simple test dot JSON of, let's say, data. We're gonna just do a small test just to make sure the connectivity and everything is working fine. So and we're gonna return something like working. Okay, and then what we do is, so API dot add resource. What is the resource? Client is the resource, and yeah, splash, and then if underscore name is equal to name, then app dot run host as an argument is equal to 0.0.0.0 and port is equal to 5000. Let's do debug is equal to true. Okay. I already have a Thunder client here, so let me open my Thunder client. So this is already having some data, so let me change this to data, some value here. Okay, so this is already running to the URL and the port. Headers is JSON. Okay, so now let's run the server. Okay, server is on, so let's send this data. Okay, so things are working fine. As you can see, working is the value what we sent, and 1280 is the value. Fine. So now let's stop the server by C, Control C. Okay, now the requirement is that, so you're gonna get a list. Okay, so this is the list of values. So let's copy this and paste it over here. Let's say data will be like this, and this has to be in double quotes. Okay, now this is done. So now let's import the file from, what is the file name here? Climb grade. Oops. Climb grade. Import. What's the name of this? Sort grades. Sort grades. Okay. So now let's say this is LST is equal to request.json, and then we're gonna say result is equal to sort grades. We're gonna take this result and put it inside the sort grades list. Okay, and then we're gonna say return result. Okay, so now this is done. So now let's run this and see how it behaves. Okay, so let's start the server by clicking on this buttons. So server started. So now let's go to this, and we're gonna, anyway, I think we pasted the data already, so let's send this. As you can see, we sent 7, 12 and 1, we got 1, 7 and 12. So this is sorted and we're getting the right results. So let's Control C, stop this. So as you can see, the server is working fine, and we are able to get the details from the API, the result from the API. So now let's create a Docker image for the same. Okay, so for that what we need to do is we need to create a requirements file for these libraries. So touch requirements requirements.txt. Okay, so once this is done, so we require Flask underscore course and then Flask underscore Restful. So this would automatically download the latest versions. Restful. So now this is done. So let's create a Docker image by adding details to the Docker file. So from Python 3.11 -lim, copy the current working directory into home/apps. Now set the working directory to home/apps. And then what we do is we're going to run pip3 install -r requirements requirements.txt. We're gonna run this requirements, and then once this is done we're gonna say command server python and then server.py. So it has to run the server, and then we can communicate using the this client. So now that is that. So what I thought of removing the debug here, we don't require debug because things are working fine. So now let's create the image, Docker image. So let's say the command to do that would be docker build -t and let's say climb :v1 and then dot. So let's run this. Where am I? pwd cd apps. Let's run the command again. Did not complete successfully. Pip install means our requirements to solve. Did not complete successfully. So quirements.txt. What's the issue? It says requirements. Maybe the file name is wrong. Let's see. So what I do is, let me come here. Let me rename this, copy this. Control V. So now let's run this again. It's saying it's not able to find pip3. I see pip3 install could not complete successfully because no such file or directory. Okay, so let me pause this.